Kailangan ba sample description or kaya mo na mag-adlib?
Sample script. Welcome back. We sincerely apologize as we have experienced some technical difficulties. Rest assured that we will continue with this event regardless. So going back, let us all welcome Engineer Padilla.
Yes, hello. Yes, good. Hello, good afternoon. So again, my name is Julian A. Padilla, and I will be discussing our undergrad thesis, which is my first published paper entitled Evaluation of International Roughness Indexed by Speed-Related Quality Criteria in the Philippines. So this paper was published on May 2019 at 7th Annual International Conference on Architecture and Civil Engineering at Singapore. So for the outline, it is subdivided into 5 subtopics. We have the about the project, then the objectives, methodology, results and analysis, and lastly is the conclusions. So for the about the project, pavement roughness is an expressional term for the irregularities in the surface of the pavement that are unpleasantly affecting the ride quality of the vehicle. So since the ride quality is the experience for a driver or commuters when passing a certain vehicle in a segment. So in 1986, the International Roughness Index was established by the World Bank and set a standard to categorize the smoothness of the road. So it was based on the quarter car model by Sayers, which measures the roughness of the road and it is linked to the pavement serviceability index. So since the PSI or Pavement Serviceability Index is now interrelated to the International Roughness Index and PSI is part of the road management, road roughness is one of the key parameters for the operation of the pavement management system. So using the HDM4, so in the Philippines, we have the Department Order of 234, series of 2004 from the Department of Public Works and Highways. So it reached that it is subdivided into several groups, which is a lower IRI values means it has a good condition, while the higher value of 7 has in bad condition. So why do we need to consider the road roughness? So first, it because that the road surface considerably impacts vehicle speed as well as the fuel consumption and tire wear, among the others, and increase the maintenance costs of the surface. So, however, we cannot easily measure the road roughness, but we all know that the ride quality is connected to road roughness, as I have discussed earlier, and ride quality is greatly affected by the sudden change of acceleration, also we know as jerk or jolt. So even the jolt is being prospected as a key indicator for road quality. The direct ride quality criteria using the jolt is not well distinct. So for this slide, we will be aiming to develop a national speed-related ride quality threshold by relating the different travel speeds. So for the objectives of this paper, so first is that the roughness is an important pavement characteristic because it determines the condition of the road as well as affecting the vehicle operating costs, safety of the users, uh, and their ride quality. And this study is to develop the speed-related ride quality thresholds using the International Roughness Index in the Philippines. So since this paper focuses only on the speed-related quality, this study was limited to a speed of 10 to 50 kilometers per hour with an increment of 10 kilometers per hour within the 600 length along the road section of Aurora Boulevard in Quezon City. So for the methods or the design experiment, we gather the data and experimental procedures. So the data or the given IRI values was given from the Department of Public Works and Finance. And then we have the mathematical computations. So we derive the equations of jolt from the acceleration. And then to do the regression analysis or regression modeling, we determine the appropriate prediction model. So linear and polynomial regressions, which is under up to 6 degrees was done. So the coefficient of determination or R2 factor of linear squared and cubic were greater than 0.90 and were chosen as appropriate prediction. So again, jolt it is just the derivative of the acceleration in respect to time. So the equation for jolt is derived using by the equation of acceleration, and then we have the initial and final velocity that has been established, and then we have the initial acceleration and the time which is in performing the experiment. So regression, this is our formula we derive using the regression modeling, wherein jolt, which is J, V is the velocity that we need to compute, and IRI is the International Roughness Index value. So for the results and discussion of this paper, so based on the analysis of the data, we determined that the jolt is directly proportional to the International Roughness Index at any speed and approximately linearly proportional to the travel speed for a given IRI. So these are the computed values of the actual speed IRI based on our model or quarter car model. This is the plotted actual predicted jolt. So as you can see here, we have the linear jolt, which is the equation that we established from the regression modeling. So this plot or this dot is the actual speed relations in regards to the IRI. And then as the summary, we suggest or group it and suggest the IRI criteria for the ride quality at the different speed. So it is based also for the methods from the Department of Public Works as well as the World Bank. So we have good, fair, poor, and bad criteria. So for good, we have less than or equal to 3. Fair is 10, poor is 17, and bad is greater than 7. So it is based on the speed of the vehicle. So profiles having the same IRI values may differ in jolt at the same speed. So it may cause by the difference in the profile characteristics. So not we all know that every segment of the road is different from one another. So such that the variations is to investigate the reason and for further to be established. And now for the conclusion, we have the acceptable speed IRI values, which is ranges from 11.5 to 8 meters per cubic seconds for the speed of 50 kilometers per hour, 9.675 cubic meters per cubic seconds for 40 kilometers per hour, 7.62 and 7.622 meters per cubic seconds for 30 kilometers, 5.295 meters per cubic seconds for 20 kilometers, and 2.617 meters per cubic seconds for 10 kilometers. So since it is in jolt values, So the units is in meters per cubic seconds. Then the second one, the jolt is actual speed-related IRI threshold, and the jolt in the acceptable speed-related IRI threshold, which is slightly varies due to the regression analysis of the data. And then the third one, we have the descriptive ride quality rating of the selected urban roads in the Philippines, and it is developed according to the series of calculation as well as the modeling. So for the good uh, criteria, so it should be less than 3 meters per cubic seconds, fair for jolt, ranging from 3 meters per cubic seconds to 10 meters per cubic seconds, poor for jolt, which is greater than 10 meter per cubic seconds, but less than 17 meters per cubic seconds. And lastly, bad for jolt, which is greater than 17 meters per cubic seconds. So utilizing the developed speed-related criteria, so the actual and acceptable speed-related IRI threshold results to the same ride quality rating in the selected urban roads in the Philippines. So the velocity of 50 kilometers per hour falls to poor rating. The velocities 40, 30, and 20 kilometers per hour marked as a fair rating, and the 10 kilometers per hour marks as a good rating. So the ride quality of the certain road will improve based on the new criteria of roughness index, and it will lessen the accidents due to the speed resistance. So for lastly, since our study is about the speed related, we encourage the students to make about the vehicle types, which is relates to the ride quality, since the ride comfort is perceived by the road users and depends on the condition and the type of vehicle which they are riding. So in addition, for the improvement, you can include age of the pavement, its specifications as another variable, and considers the personal characteristics of the road users that may affect their sensitivity on ride. So that's it for my topic or for my presentations. Thank you very much, PICE Mapua chapter, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. And
Thank you, Engineer Padilla, for imparting us your knowledge on traffic analysis through the International Roughness Index, or IRI. Now, on to our next speaker. He is a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering graduate at the Tarlac State University in 2018 with a distinction of cum laude. He then proceeded in taking up his master's degree in civil engineering with transportation engineering as his specialization at Mapua University. By looking at his research and academic affiliations, his interests are inclined in pedestrian studies, traffic management, and road safety and risk. He is currently an internal quality auditor and part of the technical working group for infrastructure in the Bids and Awards Committee of the Tarlac State University. So, to present his research work, Efficiency of Pedestrian Mobility, a Factor Analytic Approach in Developing a Multi-Objective Pedestrian Performance Prediction Model, Utilizing Regression Analysis. Please let us welcome Engineer Neil Andrew Meneses. Good afternoon po, Engineer Meneses.
Ayun, so maraming salamat PICE Mapua University Student Chapter for that introduction and syempre for having me today. Ayun pala, a blessed afternoon po to everyone. I am Neil Andrew Meneses from Mapua University, specializing in transportation engineering, and I am about to present our research entitled Efficiency of Pedestrian Mobility, a Factor Analytic Approach in Developing a Multi-Objective Pedestrian Performance Prediction Model, Utilizing Regression Analysis. So, bali, just a short background lang muna. Walking as a mode of transport, syempre, and its corresponding contribution to social, economic, and environmental aspect has always been overlooked due to the convenience brought by motorized vehicle. So this massive increase of motorized vehicle reflects to becoming an automobile-dependent society, which in turn can heighten the chance to worsen several transportation problems, including roadwide traffic congestion, massive fuel consumption, and CO2 emission, to name a few. So in support of various national and international calling, especially to the new agenda set by the United Nations, this research study aims to contribute to the role of discoveries relevant to non-motorized movements by providing a holistic approach which integrates the social, economic, environmental, and political role of this means of transport to the society. So with this, the main objective of this research study is to develop a multi-objective pedestrian performance prediction model in evaluating pedestrian performance. So for this to be achieved, syempre, this study aims to specifically address the following. First is to identify factors affecting both pedestrian level of service and walkability. Second is to develop an Ishikawa diagram in classifying those factors. Third is to analyze assessment survey result to extract the root causes utilizing factor analysis. Fourth is to develop the multi-objective pedestrian performance prediction model utilizing ordinal regression analysis. Fifth is to assess the effectiveness of the developed predictive mathematical model. And lastly, syempre, to provide recommendations and improvement measures. So the study engaged in a 5-phase method, generalizing a 15-step process in extracting the root causes and in subsequently developing the multi-objective pedestrian performance prediction model. The first phase of the study's methodology focused on determining and classifying factors influencing pedestrian performance. So this specific phase aims to outline, syempre, the concept of pedestrian performance, specifically to provide an overview on how pedestrian system works and what factors do influence its performance. So the second phase of this approach tackles the delineation and condensation of the identified factors. Through the use of multivariate factorial analysis, the relationship among the established factors were furtherly analyzed to be able to extract the most significant factors or root causes which deeply influences pedestrian performance. The development of a multi-objective pedestrian performance prediction model was the focus of the third phase of the study. So randomly selected streets were assessed using an audit tool, and ordinal regression analysis was utilized in the development of the predictive mathematical model. The fourth and the fifth phase of the study's methodology involves the actual application of the proposed predictive mathematical model to other pedestrian streets to be able to validate the accuracy of the developed predictive model, and to also provide recommendations for the identified critical to quality parameters. So digging deeper with respect to the processes and its corresponding results and discussion, the first two objectives of the study had been the focus of the phase one. Various literature and studies and other scholarly works were thoroughly reviewed and evaluated to potentially identify factors which influence both pedestrian level of service and walkability. Existing guidebooks, standardized procedures, and other relevant tools in assessing pedestrian level of service and walkability were also synthesized with the intention to recognize the weights possessed by these influencing factors or of how much this affects pedestrian performance. So after a thorough evaluation of these established concepts, a total of 56 factors were initially listed. So with this, the study's first specific objective, which aims to identify those factors, has been partially fulfilled. A cause and effect analysis was then employed to further explore the underlying causes which affects pedestrian performance, to provide a holistic approach in considering different aspects in pedestrian studies. The identified factors were categorized into four main groups. First is with respect to infrastructure and facilities. Second is for management and policies. Third is for users' interaction and movement. And lastly, with respect to the environment. So after a series of brainstorming sessions, additional factors were added and subcategories of the study's four major aspects had been developed. So the list encompassing this classification was then validated by the experts in the field of pedestrian studies. Factors which still bears much similarity which may cause redundancy were enjoined. Factors that were found to be irrelevant were also trimmed down, and the inclusion of some other factors which so far were not included in the list was also supplemented. So after these thorough procedures, the study now has come up to the finalization and the development of an Ishikawa diagram covering all the finalized 81 factors, and also reflects the completion of the study's first specific objective and the attainment of the study's second specific objective. Okay, next. The Pedestrian Performance Assessment Questionnaire or the PPAC was subsequently developed incorporating the finalized factors in a 5-point Likert scale to measure the importance of the identified factors based on the objective and subjective views of the respondents. But before its application, the PPAC was first evaluated by some of the experts in the context of transportation, together with some of the experts in research and statistics through phase validity tests. These professionals focus on evaluating the content of the questionnaire, especially on how those factors were presented. So the objective evaluation of those experts showed that majority of the items were rated valid and applicable. So a pilot study covering 10% of target respondents was subsequently conducted to measure the consistency and reliability of the questionnaire through internal consistency tests. Cronbach's alpha for each subgroup of the study were uncovered. Results of this calculation showed that all values were deemed acceptable as these were above the 0.7 threshold value. So the validated PPAC was then evaluated by 100 respondents who considered walking as their primary means of transport. Responses were subsequently validated if the obtained data were suitable for factor analysis and if all assumptions were met. So for the sampling adequacy, this is examined using the Kaiser-Meyer measure of sampling adequacy. So in the initial run of PCA in the dataset, KMO value was found to be at 0.694, a value of above 0.5, which means that the samples are adequate. So to check if the data should be suitable for reduction, Bartlett's test of sphericity was employed, where p-value was found to be at 0.00. Since it is lower than 0.05, this means that the correlation matrix of the variables is not an identity matrix. Thus, syempre, PCA is justified. So in this study, 81 items are accounted for the total variance. Each item has a corresponding eigenvalue of 1. But after PCA, eigenvalues are redistributed to variables which carry the most variance in terms of the number of items. So after the fourth and final rotation through the use of PCA as the extraction method and Varimax and Kaiser normalization as the rotation method, 13 components were extracted. So the 13 extracted components can explain 79.242% of the total variance. So this is ideal as it is higher than the acceptable value of 50%. So from the 81 initially listed factors, the study now considers the extracted 60 factor items categorized into 13 components, which were carefully named based on the shared concept of the items these components possess. And with this, the third objective of the study had been fulfilled. So to further ensure the accuracy and precision of the extracted root causes, these factors were subjected to another set of validity and reliability tests. For the construct validity test, average variance extracted or AVE of each component was calculated. Items starting with the lowest factor loading were hereby deleted as long as the AVE of that specific component does not reach the threshold value of 0.5. So aside from the AVE, composite reliability of every component was also calculated. Bali same goes lang pagdating kay AVE. As long as these components does not satisfy the required 0.65 threshold of the CR, item deletion takes place. So thus a total of 11 components covering all 40 items remained. The 40 extracted and validated items were incorporated to develop the Pedestrian Performance Audit Tool or the PPAT. 5 randomly selected local and collector streets in the city of Tarlac were assessed using the developed PPAT. These streets were Eftaniedo, Romulo, Zamora, Hilario, and Juan Luna. So for the field survey, the 5 streets were monitored for 7 consecutive days to be able to identify the most probable value for the items involved in each component. On the other hand, a total of 20 residents of Tarlac City who were verified to be familiar with the 5 randomly chosen streets and as well as knowledgeable in the context of pedestrian performance were also chosen to evaluate the assessment survey of the PPAT. And syempre, the study areas were also observed in the morning, noon, and evening time to correspondingly capture peak hour values. Ordinal regression analysis had been adopted as the main statistical tool due to the ordinal nature of the dependent variable. Initially, the 11 established components were set as the main predictors. However, during dun sa pag-conduct natin ng different tests for assumptions, it was noted that the test for goodness of fit and parallel lines were not satisfied. So in response to that situation, it was redirected to use the contained items of every component as predictors. So verification tests were rerun and consequently interpreted. P-value of more than 0.05 indicates that the assumptions for proportional odds is met. So thus having a p-value of 1.0 indicates that this assumption was met. So in likelihood ratio chi-square test, p-value of less than 0.05 is anticipated. So thus p-value of 0.00 for a chi-square value of 144.799 indicates that there is a significant improvement in the fit of the final model over the null model. So both Pearson and the Vian chi-square tests were also significant as the p-values are more than 0.5. So ordinal regression analysis thereafter utilized to generate the mathematical model. Coefficients bearing a significant value of less than 0.05 were retained, and those items which exceeds this threshold value were correspondingly removed. So from the table shown, a total of 6 items: pedestrian space, officials intervention, ambience, vibrance, street vendors, and trash bins remained, as these were deemed statistically significant, and subsequently generates the mathematical model tackling pedestrian performance. So with this, the study's fourth specific objective, which aims to develop the multi-objective pedestrian performance prediction model, was achieved. Next, the validation of the predictive model was accomplished through the use of a confusion matrix. The p-path was reconstructed, only incorporating the key predictors of the predictive model, and was used to assess another set of pedestrian streets. Respondents' perceived pedestrian performance was then compared to the predicted pedestrian performance. All matching observed and predicted values were associated with the total number of observations to be able to calculate the accuracy of the model. So thus, it generates an acceptable rating of 71.67%. So with this accuracy rating, this made the multi-objective pedestrian performance prediction model deemed acceptable and valid. Lastly, the interpretation of the developed predictive mathematical model had been undertaken through the calculation of the odds ratios. It was applied and taken into consideration that the calculated odds ratios are covered by statistically significant intervals of the response variable and its reference categories. So from the table shown, pedestrians are more concerned with respect to the qualitative factors of the pedestrian system rather than its quantitative counterparts. Ambience and vibrance are the leading positive contributor towards a higher pedestrian performance. So for instance na lang, pedestrians who rated the system's ambience as high is more likely to perceive a higher pedestrian performance rating by approximately 15 times compared to pedestrians who evaluated the ambience as low. So with this, it is evident that focusing more on heightening the system's ambience and vibrance may significantly improve the performance of the pedestrian system. These factors do not possess a numeric equivalence, but this may still be enhanced by meeting the things that provide ease, comfort, and lively spirit to the pedestrians while walking in public places. On the other hand, providing every street with trash bins not only contributes in improving pedestrian performance, but this may also indirectly impact the system's ambience. Sufficient pedestrian space can be maintained and enhanced by making sure that the density and flow of pedestrians are not being interrupted and does not go beyond the critical level. For the summary of results and conclusion, the main objective of this research study is to develop the multi-objective pedestrian performance prediction model. 81 items were initially listed and classified, but after the application of factor analysis and ordinal regression analysis, it was concluded that there are 6 key predictors and becomes the most important contribution of the study. The model also showed that both street vendors and officials' intervention have a negative coefficient, which signifies an inverse relationship to pedestrian performance. Upon careful observation, evaluation, and proper consultation, the existence of overwhelming number of street vendors obstructs the pathway intended for pedestrians, which provides a negative impression with respect to their views. So on the other hand, it has been evident that majority of the interventions of our officials are still car-centric, specifically in terms of public budgeting and infrastructure development, so which leads to a negative impact na naman to pedestrians' view. But the negative effects of SB and OI does not permanently imply that these factors are negatively fixed and it will always degrade the performance of the system. The irregularities brought by these circumstances may be resolved by rerunning all the undertaken procedures in the development of the predictive model within a set of time intervals, since the views of the people changes, syempre, with respect to time, especially if solutions were introduced for us to be able to recalibrate the predictive mathematical model. So with the following presented information, it is still highly recommended that the local government must invest more effort in studying and integrating empirical evidences in the development of sustainable programs, especially with respect to their funding, especially those which tackles to the needs of the pedestrians. So by providing them these interventions, this may result to a two-dimension win, as this may reset the mindset of the pedestrians from its negative impression and may in turn elevate the pedestrian performance. Again, that ends my presentation. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig and maraming salamat ulit, PICE Mapua.
Thank you so much, Engineer Meneses, for that very insightful and detailed presentation regarding the efficiency of pedestrian mobility. And for our last speaker of the day, she is a graduate of bachelor's degree in civil engineering at the Panantasang Lungsod ng Maynila back in 2014. In 2017, she acquired her credited units in Master of Arts degree in Public Administration at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. And in 2020, she pursued Master in Engineering degree at the Hiroshima University. Currently, she works on the Bureau of Maintenance of the Department of Public Works and Highways, which she is in charge in the maintenance of roads, bridges, and national public buildings. To present her research work entitled Integrated Framework for Risk and Impact Assessment of Sediment Hazard on a Road Network, let us give a warm welcome to Engineer Johan Rose A. Santos.
Hello, good afternoon to all. Thank you for that introduction, Stan. Before I start, I'd like to thank again PICE Mapua University Student Chapter for this opportunity to present this peer-reviewed paper published in the Transportation Research Record in 2021. For context, this study was taken from my master's thesis during my postgraduate studies in Hiroshima University under the Project for Human Resource Development Scholarship by Japanese Grant Aid, JDS, of the Government of Japan. Moreover, this study is aligned with Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, numbers 9, 11, and 13. So let me just repeat the title of the paper, An Integrated Framework for Risk and Impact Assessment of Sediment Hazard Disruption on a Road Network. So this paper was co-written together with my professors from Hiroshima University. For the presentation outline, I'm going to present the introduction, the risk framework, the data and study area, the methodology, results, conclusion, and policy implications of this research. Okay, for the introduction, our road network provides mobility services for passengers and goods. However, it's also the most important lifeline whenever a disaster occurs. First and foremost, because it facilitates disaster response and recovery activities, including evacuation, rescue, and relief distribution. It also assists in the repair and restoration of other important infrastructure systems such as telecoms, power, and water supply. However, road networks also become a primary victim whenever a calamity happens. So in order for us to maintain the road's functionality, it is crucial to determine the underlying risks that threaten the road network. Now, when we talk about risk, there are many forms or many explanations, descriptions, and definitions of risk. But for this study, we're going to frame that in the concept of transport vulnerability studies and disaster risk management. Going into the concept of risk in transport vulnerability studies, Matson and Janelius defined risk as a triad of the incident, the probability, and impact. Meanwhile, in disaster risk management, risk is defined as the intersection of hazard, vulnerability, and exposure. As you can notice here, the incident in the risk triad is related to the hazard in disaster risk. Then, risk in road transport can be classified into external and internal risk. Internal risk in road transport can be classified into the topological structure of the network, while the external risk may come from the outside factors, including disruptions and natural disasters. Now, for the objectives of this research, we will try to answer the question, how can risk of sediment hazard be assessed and the resulting impacts be estimated for a vulnerable road network? Specifically, this paper aims to answer or proposes a risk assessment framework to incorporate the topological network vulnerability, road network exposure, hazard probability, and disruption impact on road network for sediment hazard, particularly debris flow. After proposing a risk assessment framework, we're going to conduct a case study for an identified vulnerable road network in Hiroshima Prefecture, particularly Kure City, using this proposed risk assessment framework. And finally, we're going to recommend a risk map to aid in policy decision-making, particularly for investment resource allocation and pre-disaster mitigation planning. Now, let's proceed to the risk framework. The proposed risk framework was modified from Ferretti and Montebeller's spatial risk map that defines risk as the layer combining probability, vulnerability, and impact. In our study, this is modified to start with the vulnerability, then exposure, probability, impact, and the overall risk. The concepts and processes involved are as follows. These processes would be further discussed in the preceding slides. Now, for the data and study area, the different data set and resources are outlined in this table, including first and foremost, of course, the Kure City Road Network data, the existing sediment hazard maps, and information on the July 2018 disaster, such as debris flow locations and rainfall amount. The study area is selected is Kure City. Again, it's located in Hiroshima Prefecture. The composition of the road network is 18,125 road links with a total road length of around 1,680 kilometers. The road network also has 14,276 nodes, which are either intersections, cul-de-sacs, or city boundary nodes. So this is important in studying transport networks to establish the links and the nodes. Also, for more information about the study area, back in 2018, they experienced a sediment disaster brought about by torrential rains. That's why this is one of the cities that was considered for this study. For the methodology, I'd like to explain some concepts about sediment hazard and how we were able to formulate the whole risk assessment framework for this study. Now, when we talk about sediment hazard may be classified or categorized into three. It involves debris flow, steep slope, and landslide. For this study, we're going to focus with debris flow, which is the phenomenon wherein rocks or mountains and rivers flow with water due to heavy rain. Also, in studying sediment hazard, we need to consider two factors. The first one is the preparatory factor, and the second one is the triggering factor. For this study, our preparatory factor were sourced from hazard maps, including the geology and soil properties and watershed boundary, including slope and drainage patterns. For the triggering factor, it was sourced from the heavy rainfall, utilizing the rainfall data from the July 2018 disaster event. Now, when we are estimating occurrence of probability in geology engineering, there are four approaches to do this. First is the inventory, heuristic, statistical, and deterministic. For this study, we're going to combine inventory and statistical methods. Going further, we're going to focus on the processes involved in each step in the framework. The first process is the measurement of the network vulnerability using the calculation of the efficiency and topological indicators of the road network. So first, we need to identify, or we need to measure how efficient our road system is. The second process is analyzing the exposure of links to sediment hazard. In order to link this to the next process, which is the probability calculation, we're going to use a binary logit regression using the exposure, rainfall, and topography as the explanatory variables to explain the latent variable, which is occurrence of sediment hazard. The next step would be to conduct a Monte Carlo simulation to compute for the impact using the probability computed from the binary logit regression. For this study, we have conducted 12,000 iterations using the Monte Carlo simulation. Finally, simply, we compute for the risk by getting the product of the probability and impact we have acquired from each step. However, since each step is interrelated, we are also taking into consideration the vulnerability and exposure of our road network system. Now we proceed to the detailed discussion of each step. In measuring the vulnerability of road networks or systems in general, one of the indicators is calculating the efficiency. So for this study, we utilize the efficiency indicator, which measures how a network facilitates movement. So there are several variables that you need to identify. First is the number of nodes, the geodesic distance between any node pair from I to J, and from that, you can compute for the average efficiency of a network. However, efficiency measure itself is not helpful. So we need to normalize the global efficiency in order to compare different networks or the specified network itself in varied states. So Latora and Marchiori in 2001 and Taylor in 2017 proposed a normalization method in order for this efficiency to be more useful. We have also used several indicators and topological indicators. When I say topological indicators or topology, we refer to the how the road network was built or how it is characterized in terms of its topology. So here are some of the indicators we have also used for the paper. As a result, these are the values or characteristics that we have found for Kure City. So again, these are the nodes and links, and the global efficiency that we have found or calculated for Kure City is the lowest among the 69 Japanese cities, which were studied in our previous paper, also published in an international publication. As a comparison, you can see here, Kure ranked the least efficient among all the road networks, 69 road networks, and it was also found to be the least robust against random attacks. So for more details about this, we have published a separate paper detailing the information or comparison of the global efficiency among these 69 Japanese cities. Now, going back to the process of exposure, again, when we are studying sediment hazard, we are looking into the preparatory factor and triggering factor. For this study, we have used the hazard maps, which were open sourced information from the Hiroshima prefectural government. Okay. So for the preparatory factor, we also investigated the links exposed to the potential debris flow. So when I say links, it refers to the road links. And we investigate those which were exposed to the potential debris flow, damage hazard area, and watershed boundary, as you can see here in this map, using the analysis in ArcGIS. From then on, we have included a map of those exposed links, colored green in this map. And among 18,000 and so road links, about 5,500 road links were exposed to sediment hazard. Now, going to the probability step, we utilize the binary logic regression using the variables within exposure, if the link is within exposure hazard area, if the link is within the watershed boundary, and the R prime max rainfall index on each link during the July 2018 disaster. So from this binary logic regression, we can compute for the occurrence probability. So in order for us to establish a mathematical model, we need a baseline data. So basically, the baseline data that we have used is the results or the event that happened on the July 2018 disaster, wherein 107 road links were affected. So using this baseline data, we fitted the binary logic using the 16,700 road links that were covered within the satellite readable range, and used it to compute for the probability of the rest of the links. So in this map, as you can see, not all of the areas were covered by the satellite readable range. So only 16,000 or part of the whole city were mapped during that time due to the torrential rains. So from this on, we go to the another factor, which is the triggering factor, rainfall in this case, and studied the R prime max distribution during the July 2018 disaster. So as you can see here, there are various colors here, and those red or darker colors were those areas that received the highest amount of rainfall during a 10-minute interval from July 6 to July 7, 2018 disaster. So the information that we used here are sourced from another laboratory or research staff in Hiroshima University. Now, correlating the links that were affected during the July 2018 disaster and the map of the R prime max, we can conclude that most of the links that were affected are situated in the yellow boundary, or those who received 350 mm to 400 mm rainfall. Now, in order for us to establish the accuracy of our model, we need to investigate the correlation among the variables and multicollinearity. So based from our observations and our investigation and comparison of the binary logic model, 7 binary logic models, we have concluded to use the first model, which includes all the variables as indicated in binary logic regression a while ago. So finally, we have estimated a binary logic regression model in order to predict the degree of occurrence of debris flow or sediment hazard on a specific link in the road network. So based on the occurrence probability, it yielded results of this occurrence probability distribution. Now, to explain the Monte Carlo simulation flowchart, we followed this flowchart until that 12,000 iteration in order to establish a reliable model for the results. So among the 12,000 iteration, the highest combination with the highest impact in efficiency was identified from iteration 3,560. If we're going to compare the simulation from the Monte Carlo, we can see here a comparative description. The green one is the iteration 3560, which was produced from the simulation, wherein 137 road links were disrupted, and it contributes to 17.13% network efficiency loss. And the July 2018 disaster that only yielded that only affected 107 disrupted links, but yielded 14.73% network efficiency loss. So what does this graph shows? This gives us an insight of the importance of the links disrupted during the July 2018 disaster and the complexity of predicting the worst case scenario for disaster events. So finally, we computed for the risk of each 18,125 road links in the network. And aside from only computing for the average risk, we also computed for the minimum and maximum risk. Now, Taylor in 2017 described critical links through this explanation. If the probability of failure is high, then the road link is weak. If the impact of failure is great, the link is important. However, if the link is both weak and important, then it's critical or high-risk link. For the results, I'm going to show you several maps that we have generated from each step. So in this slide, you can see the occurrence probability map. You can see green to color green, red colors to green colored links. So this indicates the occurrence probability of the sediment hazard occurring in each link. So red ones are the most exposed or vulnerable to sediment hazard. For the impact map, these are the links that would yield the most impact in the network efficiency of the network. Then finally, we compute for the risk map at the minimum and maximum and average. So in this risk map, you can see that two of the important road links that were identified were Route 31 and Route 375, which are both important links, and this implicates that these findings may support the government with its future road infrastructure investments. Now, for the conclusion of this study, again, we have proposed a risk assessment framework evaluating risk from the topological structure of the road network and sediment hazard exposure of this specific road network. The proposed framework also incorporated concepts from transport vulnerability studies, disaster risk assessment, and spatial risk analysis. In the end, a risk map was generated that identified critical roads or high-risk roads in Korea City as a case study. Now, this risk map, along with the probability map and impact maps, may provide aid for policymakers in prioritization and trade-off balance between high probability but low impact links and low probability but high impact segments. For future researches, if you're interested in this kind of studies, you may focus on system-based approach as well, which is transport demand and supply. And this may be used to assess the road network vulnerability risk. Now, There is also some limitation with this study. Risk was only defined from the transportation perspective, and future studies may consider investigating potential risk of natural hazards to human life and property as well, by including indicators such as population, urban development, and infra facilities. And finally, spatial autocorrelation among the explanatory variables used in the estimation of sediment disaster occurrence probability should be further investigated. So if you're going to use spatial autocorrelation, you're going to investigate spatially the correlation among the variables that you're going to use in your model. Now, for the policy implications of this study, there are three primarily aspects that this would be helpful at. First and foremost is the disaster mitigation and recovery. So as you can see, or as you saw, we have identified critical roads to strengthen and recover before, during, and after disaster. It may also assist in the repair and restoration of other important infrastructure systems, such as telecoms, power, and water supply. In terms of road infrastructure investment, this can facilitate proper investment allocation of resources and aid in decision-making with regards to road construction or expansion. So right now in road infrastructure investment, we are focusing on cost-benefit analysis. Then we can also shift this or complement this with risk-benefit analysis. And finally, in the road transport management, it can also support in improving the road transport internal and external connectivity. So in the Philippine context, especially in the Department of Public Works and Highways, we are still at the infancy stage of applying risk-based decision-making in our infrastructure investment and road transport management. So in the future, I hope that more students, more professionals, more academic researchers would be engaged in transport studies, particularly involving disaster management as well. So road transport is one of the important avenues that you can look into, but there are also other important transport systems that you may be interested as well. So for the references, here are the references for this study. Again, thank you so much for your kind attention. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if you are interested in this kind of research. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Engineer Santos, for the in-depth presentation about risk and impact assessment framework of sediment hazards. The PICE MUSC would sincerely like to thank the speakers for the transportation engineering specialization for sharing their work with us. Our event is coming to an end. To close it properly, we're going to be having our closing remarks, final code, final announcements, and the awaited raffle draw. So don't leave yet. Concluding the first day of our research colloquium will come from none other than Attorney Jose Manuel Shell Jokno. In 1986, Attorney Jokno earned a Juris Doctor degree and graduated as a magna cum laude from Northern Illinois University. He is the founding dean of the De La Salle University College of Law and chair of the Free Legal Assistance Group. He has been practicing law for 30 years and gained prominence as a human rights lawyer, educator, and litigator. On top of that, he believed that justice should be accessible to every Filipino, where he maximized the advantage of social media platforms in dispersing essential information about the law. With that, it is an absolute honor for us to have Attorney Shell Jokno to have our closing remarks today.
Kasapi ng Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers, Mapua University Student Chapter. Napakalaking karangalan na makapagbigay ng maikling pananalita sa inyong webinar. Sobrang laki ng importansya ng papel ng civil engineers sa pag-unlad ng ating bansa. Ang inyong mga disenyo at obra ang isa sa mga nagtutulak ng paglago ng ating ekonomiya. Kaya, panatilihin niyong nag-aalab ang apoy ng inyong pangarap hanggang sa ito'y maging katuparan upang kayo'y makapagsilbi sa ating bayan. Muli, mabuhay ang mga miyembro ng PICE, MUSC. Ito pong muli si Atty. Chel Diokno. Kay Diokno, ang dehado magiging llamado.
Again, thank you, Attorney Chel Diokno, for that wonderful closing remark. The e-certificate, incentivized classes, and the information for the raffle draw can be found on the Facebook Live's caption.
For our applicants, we would still be implementing the codes and mid-event attendance form policies. These forms will require specific codes to ensure its validity.
And speaking of the codes, it's about time that we release the second and final code of the day. The code should be on the screen, most likely somewhere below here. Again, take note of the spelling of the code because an incorrect code will not be accepted.
Before the raffle draw, we are going to announce the lucky pre-raffle winners. All of the listed names of the winners were taken from the registration form.
As we announce the prizes, the names of the winners will be flashed on the screen. The prizes for this raffle will be sent to the emails of the winners directly, regardless of their attendance. Now, let us proceed. There are 20 winners of 100 pesos worth of free shipping vouchers with a minimum purchase of 900 pesos from Cleo Active. And these 20 winners are Joel May Paz, Noel Angelizal, DC Asyong, Van Pastor, Christian Lavin A. Perez, Miguel Lorenzo Rubia, Ryan J. Privado, Michael Vincent M. Polintang, Rizel L. Gallega, Eliza Maris Bilawan, Reneval Magallon, Maria Lisel S. Lozano, Rod Anthony Panya, Arvin B. Buelia, Kirsten Joy B. Benjamin, Erica Pearl Celestial, Christian Dave Cabida, John Benedict L. Astrero, Andrea Julian Mariano, Kent Joshua C. Akyatan, and lastly, Jason R. Archibal. Now, for our 10 winners, for the premium webinar tickets worth 200 pesos from Engineering Wins PH. And these 10 winners are Anthony Brian Bongay, Erica Meiti Gonzalez, Elisha Joy P. Guyod, Colin Sante, Teresita Naikisha Kike Gamboa Ocampo, Hamil Jose Froleda, Ryan Madriaga, Ann Emerchi Requinto, Karen Marie Mayano, Trixia May R. Jasmine.
Thank you, Gian. So congratulations everyone. So for the 8 winners of a 500 pesos discount on project management certification course from AskLex PH Academy. These are Dan Rick Eviora, John Alvin de la Cruz, Thea Marie Lumage, Loel R. Petalvo, Leopold Stephen Alcantara, Leo Marie Ginto, Wesley Tadipa, and Seth Patrick R. Bacani. And discount vouchers from Something Right PH. 6 discount vouchers of 50 pesos off for every minimum purchase of 300 pesos on all Something Right PH products. And these are Carlo May Kunanan, Gerald Sunga, Maristel Altea Mabilangan, Zaira May Santos, Crisia May de la Cruz, and Rochelle Abala.
All right. Thank you there, Sean. And for the 10 discount vouchers of 100 pesos off for every minimum purchase of 500 pesos on all Something Right PH products, we have April Zena B. Aviles, Bien Constantino, Cherry Pie Omagap, Daniel Bagos, Joyce Ann de los Santos, Tyrone Leo Montes, Michelle Gadjisan, Janelle Malibiran, Norielin Martinez, Jason Ray Moslares. Again, congratulations for all the winners. And lastly, for the 4 discount vouchers of 250 pesos off for every minimum purchase of 1,000 pesos on all Something Right PH products. We have Royette J. Violenta, Vincent Ray Vallega, Ariane Jade Constantino, and John Jilin Galvez. Again, thank you and congratulations for all the winners.
Congratulations, everyone.
All right. All right, Sean.
Okay. Thank you, Gian. Now let's proceed to the awaited raffle draw. All of the participants that has complied to the instructions are included in the raffle draw. When your name has been chosen from the wheel, you should comment down your full name so we can verify your attendance. You only have 1 minute to comment your name on the comment section below.
In the chance that the participant isn't present, we would then be spinning the wheel once again to replace those that weren't able to claim their prize. To the winners, to the winners whose attendance has been verified, kindly send a message to our page so we can send you your respective prizes.
And speaking of winners, today we would have 2 winners of 100 pesos GCash. 1 t-shirt from the PICE, MUSC, and Retroculture's recent merchandise line. 1 customized white magic mug from Something Right PH.
1 piece of 2,000 pesos discount voucher from IC Souls. 2 pieces of 1,000 pesos discount voucher from IC Souls. And lastly, a customized vegan leather covered planner from Something Right PH. With that said, let us start the raffle. Okay.
Okay. Our first winner for the 100 pesos GCash is... Okay. Awaiting my... Okay. So the wheel is turning. So again, our first winner for the 100 pesos GCash is Maria Salve A. Reyes. Congratulations. Kindly comment down your full name below.
All right. Napaka-exciting. So for the second winner, for the 100 pesos GCash, okay, we will be spinning the wheel once again, okay? So Sean, kamusta naman ngayon?
Actually, sobrang dami kong na-receive na information sa research, sa thesis na parang magagamit ko for next term.
Okay. So we have the second winner.
Okay.
And the second winner for the 100 pesos GCash is Gretchen Arn Luis F. Tamayo. Congratulations. Kindly comment down your full name below.
Congrats, guys. So you have only 1 minute to comment your name on the comment section so we can verify you.
Yes.
Now, for the winner of the White Magic Mag from Something Right PH, congratulations.
All right. Napaikot. Do we have our winner now? Okay.
So, the winner for the White Magic Mag is Eloisa Jean Bacarisas. Again, kindly write your full name on the comment section below.
All right. Mukhang tense na tense ang ating mga...
Sobrang swerte naman nun, Gian. Kasi gusto ko talaga ng mug. Kasi mahilig ako sa kape.
Oh, grabe. Actually, napakaswerte nga talaga ng mga tao ngayon. Ayan, nagpapa-shoutout mga tao ngayon. So, before I shout out mga people, the next one is a 1,000 pesos discount voucher. 2,000 pesos discount voucher on the IC Soul for the all IC Souls product. Okay, so all right. Ayan, mag-shoutout ka naman siya. Ang dami ata nag-ano.
May birthday ngayon. So, happy birthday sa iyo, SJ Bayasid. So sana more blessings to come.
Okay.
So shoutout rin kay Armand Robert Dizon, shoutout sa iyo. Kay Kirk Patrick Doloroso.
Okay. Ayan.
At saka sa supportive na nanay ko, Girly Guerrero. Thank you, ma.
So for the 2,000 pesos discount voucher, the winner is Eloisa Jean Bacarisas. Okay?
Okay, yun yung kanina.
Yun yung
lang,
kanina.
Sorry. Kanina yon. So, white magic mug yun.
Okay. My apologies. So the winner for this is Nicole G. Estudillo. Okay, congratulations once again.
Congrats, Nicole. So
You have
only
1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute to comment
Okay.
down your name, okay? So yan. Oh, shout out mo ko, Kuya Shan daw.
Oh,
Okay.
shout out sa iyo, Gian Rojas. Sorry.
Oh. Ayan. Okay, next winner. Okay, Sean.
Okay. So the next one is a 1,000 pesos discount voucher from the Icy Souls product. So congratulations to Thomas Earl G. Militante. Please
Ayan,
comment down your full name
congratulations.
on our comment section.
You have
So,
only 1 minute. Okay.
You only have 1 minute. Shout out sa mga nanonood dyan. Michael Olivero, shout out sa iyo. Shout out kay Abigail Moises. Kasi nagre-review daw siya ng mabuti para mamaya.
Aba, grabe. Ang sisipag talaga ng mga students natin ngayon, no?
Tama. Yan ang talaga from Mapua.
Okay. My next winner for the 1,000 pesos, okay? I think this is the last winner for the 1,000 pesos discount voucher, no? From IC Souls. Grabe, ang gaganda pa naman ng mga sapatos dyan, no? Okay. Okay. So, shout out. Shout out po from Marinduque. Kamusta po kayo dyan? Okay.
Okay, shout out sa iyo, Mark Gerson Quinto Paz from Marinduque.
Mhm. Okay. So our last winner for the 1,000 pesos discount voucher, still from IC Souls, is Erika Ann O. Barasi. Congratulations for that.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Please
Grabe.
comment down your full name on our comment section below.
Yes. Marami ata mabibiling sapatos nun.
Tama. 1,000 pesos.
Okay. Okay. For a last winner for the customized vegan leather covered planner from Something Right PH, okay?
Wow!
Grabe, vegan.
Vegan leather, covered
Vegan
planner.
leather.
Important yan sa mga taong napaka-organized.
Go
Diba?
green, go green.
Yeah.
Go green tayo ngayon. So, our last winner for the customized vegan leather covered planner from Something Right PH is Angel Kristen M. Malubag. Grabe, napakaswerte. So,
Grabe.
ayan.
Congrats, guys.
Congrats, guys. Alright.
Okay.
Marami tayong tao ngayon sa comment sections na nagpapa-shoutout. Mukhang hindi natin napapansin.
Sige. So, wait lang. May nabasa akong comment. So, from Jemaraya Lumajang, di na nga napili sa raffle, pati host di ako papansinin. I'm
Ayan.
sorry.
Ayan.
Oh,
Hello
Gian,
sa'yo,
pansinin mo na.
Jemaraya. Lumahang. Pasensya na kung magkamali sa pangalan. Pero, yun. Napansin ka na, di ba?
Sorry, lumahang pala. Sorry.
Oh.
So, pa-shoutout daw po si Daniela Gentolia.
Okay. Shoutout sa'yo. So,
Kuya Gian, sabi, pakimine na lang po yung MC Gian.
naku po. Bawal po yan.
Okay.
Hindi po
Study first ka
binibenta
ba?
yan. Opo. Oh, okay. So,
Okay.
meron pa palang isang raffle or item na mapapanalunan for the raffle. So, what is that, Sean?
So that is one t-shirt from the PICE MUSC collaborated with Retro Culture. So may isa pang mananalo.
Grabe yung design ng t-shirt na yan. Ha? Gustong-gusto ko.
Grabe. Gustong-gusto ko rin kung sana makakapili lang ako. Or ako yung mapipili.
Oh, yan.
Sana ako. Pero,
Yan, mapapaikot-ikot na. Ayan, can you
okay.
do the honors, Sean?
So congratulations to our lucky winner of the amazing Retro Culture PICE MUSC t-shirt, Kenneth DC Ginao.
Ayan. You can comment your name now para sayong-sayo na. Okay. Sayong-sayo na ang t-shirt. So, we're gonna go back to the shouting out, okay?
Okay, shouting out. Let's shouting.
Okay, shout out kay Abigail Moises. Ang sabi niya, ang unfair solicitation lang po ako napili. Yan, napili ka sa shout out. So,
Shout out
congratulations.
kay, shout out kay Francois Tiristuala, the love of my life.
Okay. Grabe, ang dami atang...
Okay, shout out rin kay Angelo Noel Manuel, watching from National Teachers College. Hello!
Shout out sa maraming tao ngayon. Napakadaming taong nagko-comment ngayon.
So,
Ayan.
shout out kay Mark Villapando.
Mark Villapando, hello. Ayan. So,
Okay, sige, sabihin niyo lang kung gusto niyo pa
sabihin niyo lang.
magpa-shoutout.
Napakadaming tao ngayon. Baka mapili kayo dyan. Ayan, no? Okay, shout out kay Rafael Gabriel L. Tuparan sa PLM ng Valenzuela. Pamantasan ng lungsod ng Valenzuela. Shout out sa'yo, okay?
Okay. So may nabasa rin akong comment. Pa-shoutout mo ng Marinduque State College. Parang
Yan.
inutusan pa ako. Sige, shoutout sa'yo, Marinduque State College.
Kailangan mo kasi i-shout out.
Okay, so guys, we are going to re-roll sa dalawang panalo ng 100 pesos GCash. So
Uy,
again,
baka masaswertehan yan, ha?
tama.
Swerte.
So, huwag kayong aalis.
Huwag kayong aalis, okay? Merong reroll, paulit lang. Merong reroll sa ating 100 pesos GCash, okay?
Tama. So our
Okay.
first winner of the reroll 100 pesos GCash is John Alfreds L. Magdale. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Kindly
Napakaswerte.
comment down your name so we can verify you agad-agad.
O yan. Sana hindi na malas at nag-exit ng stream. So hopefully you're here. So yan. Napakaswerte talaga ng mga tao ngayon. Bakit hindi ako nasaswerte niya sa raffle na?
Okay, shoutout sa iyo, Marisol Dulio, watching from Singapore.
Uy, Singapore. We're going
Sana all
international.
Singapore. Oh,
We're going international. Di ba?
okay, shoutout kay Alanan Lozada Luel, watching from Iloilo. Watch out. Shoutout sa iyo.
So, shout out din kay Fritz Gasingan. Grabe, hindi ako pinansin. Shout out lang eh. O yan, napansin ka na. Kaya, eto na. Andali lang yung mga shoutout niya dahil andito na yung
Second
winner for our 100 pesos GCash. And the winner is Princess A. Prago. Ayan.
Wow.
Grabe. Napakaswerte. Very familiar name daw
Panalo
ito.
siya ulit,
Okay, sa ating raffle.
Okay, shoutout sa iyo, Marie Hart Rosales.
So, sino pa ba mag-shoutout dyan? Okay.
Okay, guys. So for t-shirt, your confirmation email will be sent tomorrow. It is pre-ordered, hence it will be issued on the end of March.
Mm-hmm.
So shoutout sa iyo, Princess Prago. So you have 1 minute to comment your full name below so we can verify if you are the real winner.
Yeah.
So meron tayong magre-reroll pag hindi pa dumating or na-comment yung name niya.
So we have plenty of time, or rather,
Okay.
confirmed na. Nag-comment na. So, congratulations for winning the 100 pesos GCash. Okay. 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 For all our winners, congratulations again. Okay.
Do not forget to send a message to our Facebook page to claim your prizes.
Yes.
So in the light that face-to-face classes for all might be possible soon, Show off your Mapuan spirit by wearing one of our shirts. For more information and pre-orders, check out the recent posts on our Facebook page on facebook.com/PICE Mapua. We would like to once again thank our partners and sponsors.
Again, this event is in partnership with Philippine Society of Sanitary Engineers, Mapua University Student Chapter, Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers, Nueva Ecija, University of Science and Technology Student Chapter, Physics Society of Adamson University,
Association of Civil Engineering Students, Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers TIP Manila, Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers Xavier University Student Chapter, Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers Bulacan State University Student Chapter, and special thanks to
the Adamson University, Concerned Adamsonians for Responsible and Empathetic Support, Adamson Red Cross Youth Council, Mathematical Society of Mapua.
And this event is sponsored by Retro Culture, Motivo Philippines, Cleo Active. Cleo Activewear encourages women to stand out and be confident by offering stylish and comfortable multi-purpose fitness apparel. From sweat sessions to lazy days to night outs, Cleo will always be your perfect go-to brand.
Lushly, Manila & Co., Eye Aesthetic,
Crochet.ph, Engineering Wins PH, Silvanas Las Piñas. Craving for some comfort food? Dumaguete's famous Silvanas and Sansuval might be the one you're looking for.
Meticuloso Grass-Fed Meats. Huwag lang juicy, maging meticuloso. Asklex PH Academy, IC Souls, Something Right PH, and Cozy Zola.
So I believe that this would be a wrap for the first day of our research colloquium. Thank you everyone for attending our event, and a special thanks to our speakers, as this event wouldn't have been possible without you.
Hopefully, everyone has picked up a thing or two and even been inspired with the cutting-edge research works that has been presented today. If these specializations weren't your cup of tea, don't worry, as we would still have a second day for our research colloquium on March 20th, 2022.
The specializations that would be covered would be the water resources, geotechnical, and environmental engineering. For more details about the event, you may follow our page, or should I say you should follow our page on facebook.com/PICE Mapua.
Or our Twitter and Instagram pages at PICE_MUSC. We regularly update those social media pages during our events, so give us a like and a follow if you want to keep yourself updated with our events.
Once again, thank you to everyone that has attended for today's event. This has been your cute MC, Sean Doroha,
and your much cuter MC, Gian Valenton, guiding you throughout our first day of the event, entitled Civil Engineering Breakthrough 2.0.
paving to the future through research excellence. Goodbye.
And have a wonderful evening.
I chose
PICE MUSC.
I chose PICE MUSC because I know it is not just an organization, but a family.
Now, I consider them as my second family.
Because it provides me a sense of purpose by allowing me to discover more about myself as an aspiring civil engineer.
Because I want to engage with people that shares the same goals as me.
because I wanted to help the SEGA community.
Because it has helped me attain the leadership skills that are beneficial to my committee and our organization.
Because of the leadership enhancement that it offers through the events, activities, and webinars that we are assigned to organize.
Power. I know that this is the organization that would let me grow as an aspiring civil engineer and let me learn the skill set that I need in order to be of service as a student and as a future engineer.
Peace.
Because this is where I felt the most confident and courageous in bringing out the best in me.
because it will help me cement my engineering career, as it is also consistently listed as one of the best organizations.
Because I wanted to grow outside of my comfort zone.
Because it will prepare me for my future career.
Because I want to be in an environment that makes me grow and access skills and understanding.
For me to grow and meet my future colleagues.
Because I want to define myself by engaging with
passionate people committed to helping fellow CE students grow.
Because it helped me to be a better student.
And it helped me grow as a good leader.
Because I wanted to gain insights in my chosen career path.
Since we strive for excellence for my future endeavors as a future engineer.
This is the best organization
to the civil engineering community.
Because it provided me the community which I know I can work and bond with.
Because I know it will help shape and guide me for the future opportunities to come.
And will help me develop myself as a student and a future civil engineer.
I chose the PICE MUSC because we only cultivate the best.
Because of the social, academic, and non-academic doors of opportunities that I know can explore and conquer that would take me places.
Because they help me unlock the leadership potential I never knew I had.
Alam naman ng lahat na sa org ng PICE, most of the officers and members are good in academics. At the same time, sa leadership, nag-excel din sila. Malaking bagay yung naibibigay na training ng PICE sa kanila during the time na nandito pa sila sa eskwelahan.